What's going on, guys? This is VinylicPuma, back with another Borderlands 2 countdown video, and today I wanted to go over 20 of what I think are among some of the best and coolest looking head customizations in Borderlands 2. Now before we start, this video is solely going to focus on head customizations and will be a somewhat subjective video. While I will talk about some skins that pair well with certain heads, just keep in mind that most of these heads are being judged by themselves. Also, I'm trying to strike a balance between all of the characters because otherwise, this list would mostly be dominated by my favorite characters in all of the top spots. With all this in mind, if you don't see a head that you like on this list, that doesn't necessarily mean that it's bad, it just means I didn't include it. And as always, feel free to leave some of your favorite head customizations in the comments section below. However, without further ado, these will be the top 20 best heads in Borderlands 2. Buckle my shoe. Number 20. Gage's Read All About It head. Now, from my experience, a lot of Gage's heads look fairly plain or have just never really looked right to me. However, Read All About It tends to be one of my favorites, as it's not only fairly easy to acquire, but also is a great alternative to some of the standard heads that come with Gage, like Keeping It Real or just the standard stock Gage head. All you really have to do is complete the Symbiosis side quest close to the very beginning of the game, and this thing is yours. So if you like this head, you should go ahead and try to get your hands on it, as again, it's just really easy to get. Number 19. Salvador's Snow Problem head. While most of the Headhunter Pack head customizations look pretty lame, the Marcus Mercenary heads are more individualized to each character. In the case of Krieg, it cries. In the case of Gage, it looks surprised. Axton's looks angry, Maya's has this bizarre smile, Zero's is blank, and I think I like Salvador's the best, and what he's doing is smiling and winking. There's not really that much to it other than that, but I think it just comes down to the fact that I tend to like this expression the most amongst all of the characters. Maybe Krieg's comes in at a close second, but I've got to say that Salvador's No Problem is my favorite. Feel free to let me know which Marcus Mercenary DLC head is your favorite in the comments section below. Number 18. Krieg's I Wanna Be Wanted head. So this head is really cool because it shows part of Krieg's face while the rest of it is covered up. However, instead of a mask, Krieg has this wanted poster either glued or I guess stapled to his face. Also, I can remember thinking that this was really cool back when it came out because it also comes with this skin that makes Krieg look like he just broke out of prison, complete with the black and white stripes. Unfortunately, you will have to purchase this head through the Psycho Madness pack on the PC versions of the game. However, like most other DLC skin packs, this one is free from the start on both PS4 and Xbox One, thus allowing you to more easily take advantage of it if you choose to do so. So, it's not all bad, but I do wish this one was free on the PC. Number 17. Zero's Coltrane head. Now, it's pretty obvious that this is a football helmet for Zero, and typically you may find that it goes really well with Melee Zero for that reason. However, I believe the name for this head is a reference to Augustus Cole from the Gears of War series, who played a sport called thrashball, which appears to be pretty similar to American football. The only real problem with this head is that it's a very rare drop from Terramorphous. Aside from the fact that Terra is already difficult as is, actually finding this head is made even more difficult due to the fact that it can be often mistaken for other purple items. So there's a good chance you'll be farming for this one for a while, but I do have to say that this is a really cool head for Zero, and if you can get it, you should definitely try to get it. Number 16. Zero's Special Edition Forgotten head. While it's not too different from the standard head customization for Zero, I think I like this particular head the most when compared to the other special edition head customizations. After all, I'm not a huge fan of Bald Maya, and while Axton's Snowblind and Salvador's Detective Eye head customizations do look cool, I think I just prefer Zero's Forgotten, as it's basically a more visual appealing version of the standard head customization for Zero. Plus, I also like the fact that this one can be obtained pretty easily, despite not having the special edition DLC pack at all. All you have to do is obtain Forgotten from someone that owns the special edition pack that has a duplicate from starting a new character. Alternatively, if you have the Handsome collection, you can get it for free that way as well. But if you're looking for the best head from the special edition versions of the game, I would say that this is it. Number 15. Axton's Clever Boy head. So, the Clever Boy head for Axton is a reference to a scene in the original Jurassic Park where one of the characters, Muldoon, is hunting for a group of velociraptors. Unfortunately for Muldoon, he becomes the hunted, and just before he dies, he says, "Clever girl." Now, I've always liked the look of this head because it obscures Axton's eyes somewhat, and the scars on it are also a nice touch as well. I suppose it doesn't hurt that the Clever Boy is supposed to be paired with Axton's patient skin, which also looks pretty awesome and can also be acquired from the Hammerlock's Big Game Hunt DLC. However, unlike Patient, which requires you to complete the annoying I Like My Monsters rare side quest, all you have to do to get Clever Boy is complete the DLC and turn in the final mission. So if you're looking for a great head customization for Axton, I'd recommend Clever Boy as I think it looks pretty cool. Number 14. Maya's Nevermore head. I don't know what it is, but I really like Maya's Nevermore as it goes really well with black or darker colored skins for Maya and can overall give Maya more of a goth/punk/scene type appearance. Plus, I think it's also worth mentioning that Nevermore has the benefit of being a potential quest reward for completing the In Memoriam side quest at Three Horns Divide. Not only is this quest really easy, but it's something you'll likely end up acquiring and doing anyway if you want to farm Bull for the fastball. So I would say if you want a really cool looking head for Maya early on in the game, go ahead and complete In Memoriam to get access to Nevermore. Number 13. Zero's Bonehead head. So, Bonehead is my second favorite head for Zero, and when compared to the standard head for Zero, Bonehead doesn't really do a whole lot different. All you get is a skull graphic on Zero's visor and a bandana that he can wear on the top of his head, which make this head fairly minimal compared to a lot of the other heads that are available for Zero. All you really have to do to get this head is beat the Captain Scarlet DLC and receive it as a quest reward for turning in the X Marks the Spot mission. So in that sense, this head is pretty easy to get, and if you want to look cool, this is a head you should definitely look into acquiring. Number 12. Krieg's I Hear Your Blood head. I'm not entirely sure what this is supposed to be, but I think it looks pretty cool and makes Krieg kind of look like a demon spawn or something. Either way, the skull or mask here is pretty visually striking, and while the color of it can change based on the skin that you wear, I actually really like this head when it's paired with a skin that either makes it appear in a solid white or gray color. The one problem you may encounter with it though is acquiring it. After all, I Hear Your Blood is either dropped from Geary during the Lord of the Rings Easter egg, or as a very rare drop from the Warrior. Now, while the former method is a lot easier than the latter, both can prove to be somewhat frustrating. Still, I think this is a great head, and I think it's arguably the best of the head customizations that drops from the Warrior or through the Lord of the Rings Easter egg. Number 11. Krieg's My Ears Are Ringing head. So, this is a head that's supposed to be received during the Dragon Keep DLC for Borderlands 2. I really like the horns and dark visor part of this helmet as it makes Krieg sort of look like a gladiator, especially since Krieg is mostly shirtless when he's wearing most of his skins. Interesting story, but one of the things I remember about this head is that it, along with all of the other Dragon Keep customizations, had to be delayed because Krieg's skin was glitched upon Dragon Keep's release. Thus, this is why Gearbox eventually released shift codes for all of the Dragon Keep DLC customizations, and currently I would say that this is the best way to currently get this head, and really any of the Dragon Keep customizations. Otherwise, your alternative would be to get it from dice chests in the Dragon Keep DLC, but really of the two options, I just recommend that you use a shift code. Number 10. Gage's Necros's head. Necrosis is a DLC pack head for Gage that comes free with the Handsome Collection versions of Borderlands 2 on PS4 and Xbox One. Or you have to end up buying the Necromancer Supremacy pack if you happen to be playing on the PC, and I also believe the 360 and PS3. As for the head itself, Necrosis just looks really cool in large part to the hood and glowing eyes, which make Gage look like some kind of crazy witch or something. I also think it's worth mentioning that Necrosis comes with one of the slickest looking skins for Gage in the entire game in the form of Chaos Reigns, which gives Gage these glowing eyes with almost any head customization, while also having this awesome glowing pattern covering the entire skin. There's not really a whole lot else to this one. Like some of the other DLC head/skin packs, it does suck that you have to buy this on the PC version. However, at least console users on PS4 and Xbox One can get it for free. Number 9. Salvador's El Diablo head. Now, I'm not exactly sure if this is supposed to be a reference to anything in particular. However, I do have to say that the El Diablo head does look pretty sinister and cool. In a way, the El Diablo head does sort of remind me of Hellboy and maybe even Diablo to a certain extent. Now, it is worth mentioning that it's not really a one-to-one comparison in either case, but still, I guess this may have likely been what the designers may have been inspired by. Of course, to actually get the El Diablo head, you either need the Handsome Collection on PS4 or Xbox One, which is free, or you'll need to purchase the ZERKER Madness DLC head/skin pack. Which, again, and this is a trend throughout this video, it's a bummer for PC players, but if you're on console, it's pretty cool because you can get them for free. Ultimately, this is a great looking head customization for Salvador. I just wish it was free for PC users. Number 8. Axton's Space Knight head. While it's a pretty rare drop, Axton's Space Knight head is definitely one of my favorites, and I would say that in my experience, it's something that's definitely sought after by a lot of Axton players. After all, the helmet kind of makes you look like a Gundam or some kind of mechanized warrior, and again, it just looks really cool. Of course, the unfortunate thing is that this particular customization is a very rare drop from the bunker, and I would say that you're more likely to actually end up getting some of the bunker's legendary loot before you actually get any of the unique heads that he can drop. Still though, this is a really awesome head customization, and if you can get your hands on it, it may end up becoming one of your favorites. Number 7. Maya's Ascendant head. So, the Ascendant head is acquired by purchasing the SIREN Supremacy Pack DLC for the PC, or is included for free in the Handsome Collection versions of the game on PS4 and Xbox One. So again, this is another one of those skins that you get for free on PS4 or Xbox One with the Handsome Collection that you have to pay for on the PC version. As far as how it looks, I've always thought this looked pretty cool. It sort of reminds me of Dr. Manhattan from the Watchmen graphic novel, plus I think Ascendant is the only customization that has a transparent or hollowed look, which is just another reason that makes it stick out and look really cool compared to a lot of the other skins in the game. At the very least, the Ascendant head is visually striking, and I hope we'll see more heads like it in Borderlands 3. Number 6. Krieg's Reach for the Skies head. Out of all of the 2013 Community Day heads, I think Krieg's is simply the best. And this is mostly because all of the other characters have pretty standard looking heads, while Krieg looks like a bandit or some kind of robber thanks to the black bandana that's covering his face. Not to mention that I like some of the details on Krieg's hat, as it looks like there are some bullets up there, and it would be something that a villain might wear. Of course, my only real complaint with Reach for the Skies is that, like all of the other Community Day customizations, it can be very difficult to acquire as it's a random drop from any source in game. While the heads and skins don't disappear from the player's inventory anymore upon saving and quitting, they are still pretty difficult to get, and I'd say that your best bet to farm them would be by smashing the Bullymong piles near Claptrap's place. Ultimately, it's unfortunate that this head is so rare, but I do have to admit that it looks pretty cool. Number 5. Salvador's Not So Jolly Roger head. So, I'd have to say that one of my personal favorite heads for Salvador is the Not So Jolly Roger head from the Captain Scarlet DLC. There's something about the combination of the pirate hat, with the beard, with the skull, and with the glowing eyes that really makes me like it. And compared to a lot of Salvador's other campaign DLC heads, I'd say that the not-so-Jolly Roger head is definitely one of the better ones. Plus, it's also fairly easy to get this thing, as all you really have to do is beat the Captain Scarlet DLC. Overall, though, this is a great looking head customization for Salvador, and I've got to say that if it's not one of my favorites, it is my favorite. Number 4. Zero's Nihilism head. So, this is my personal favorite head for Zero. Not only does it vaguely remind me of Rorschach from the Watchmen graphic novel, but I overall really like the sleek profile of it compared to many of Zero's other head customizations. Typically, a lot of Zero's heads tend to look too bulky for my tastes, and I think the Nihilism head in particular is a great contrast to that. Perhaps the best part, though, is how easy this skin is to acquire, as all you have to do is complete rank 5 of the To Pay the Bills challenge, which consists of defeating 1,000 enemies with your action skill. So, provided that you play the game long enough, you'll get access to Nihilism. Otherwise, Nihilism makes me wonder if that's the actual profile of Zero's head with his helmet off. And hopefully we'll find out what Zero looks like in Borderlands 3. Number 3. Axton's Vault Veteran Lancer head. This particular head is a reference to the Crimson Lance from Borderlands 1 and is sometimes worn by the Crimson Raiders that patrol Sanctuary in Borderlands 2. I've always thought these helmets looked pretty cool, and thankfully you can wear one on Axton. Plus, what's also pretty great about this helmet is it's fairly easy to get because all you have to do is have a Borderlands 1 save file on the device that you normally play Borderlands 2 on. Now, it is worth mentioning this can present some problems if you're playing on Xbox One or PS4, as you'll have to have had a Borderlands 1 save on Xbox 360 or PS3 respectively. Which I suppose is another reason it would be nice to get a Borderlands 1 re-release or remaster for PS4 and Xbox One. But this is a great head for Axton, and it's also pretty great that it's really easy to obtain. Number 2. Gage's Triple X head. So Triple X is probably my favorite head for Gage. I also think that out of all of the non-DLC heads for Gage, it tends to be the most visually striking thanks in large part to the large hair and what I could only describe as the somewhat insane look in Gage's eyes. In a certain sense, Gage sort of looks like a bandit or some kind of crazy surgeon with this customization, and honestly, I think that's pretty cool. Of course, the only real problem with this head is obtaining it, and I suspect that's a big reason you don't really see it all that much. After all, like Zero's Coltrane, you have to obtain this head as a very rare drop from Terramorphous, which is a pain. Hopefully, someone can either give this thing to you, or you can get really lucky with your RNG and manage to get this thing to drop. After all, it's a really great looking head for Gage, it just sucks that it's so hard to get. And finally, number 1, Maya's Pretty in Punk head. In my humble opinion, Pretty in Punk is quite possibly the best head customization for Maya, or at the very least, I think it's the best head customization out of all of the characters from the Torgue's Campaign of Carnage DLC. Then again, I suppose Pretty in Punk doesn't have much competition, as Gage and Krieg's heads are fairly plain, while Zero's and Salvador's heads look kinda dumb in my humble opinion. Plus, like all of the other Torgue DLC heads, Pretty in Punk can be purchased in a vending machine, making it very easy to acquire. I guess I like the bandana and the hair and kind of how it all shapes the face, and it just looks pretty cool. But ultimately, as far as heads go, this is quite possibly my favorite head in the game, or at the very least, it is just my number 1 favorite head for Maya in Borderlands 2. But alright guys, I think that's going to wrap up this particular video. If you liked this video, feel free to leave a like, click the bell so you can be notified when I upload more videos, and as always, thank you all so much for supporting the channel, take care, and I'll see y'all in the next one.